fights with passion, and he inspires.
Are you ready for a war?
All right, welcome back to From 8 Arbitration. Hope everybody's had a great week. I have had a fantastic week. Son got married Thursday. That was a fantastic time. Some of y'all saw the pictures of us there. I was honored to be the best man. And Reed and I are extremely tight. All my kids and I are tight. But Reed works with me at the post office. He's a clerk at the same station as I. And so we have a fantastic time there. But, man, we had a ball, man. We had a great time at that wedding. And then my wife and I, we took off the rest of the week. Just a mini vacation. So just got back in town. It's Monday night. Going to do an episode. I got to cover this 271G. A couple of people asked that I do that, and so I'm going to do that today. Got the Wolf on, James Henry. He's going to be on, talk a little bit about where we're going. Some new additions to the CLC slate. We're growing stronger every day. And so it's a fantastic time to be alive and be Corey Walton. It really is. A lot of great stuff going on. A lot of crazy stuff going on. We'll address some of it. And so, but yeah, man, a damn good time. And so, can't wait to take over this motherfucker at the end of the year. It's going to happen. And so, everybody realizes it now. And, but where we're going this week, Branch 210, Rochester, New York. We're going to be there Wednesday. Y'all come out and see us. Come out in force and see us. We've had a great time going around. James and I talk about this, but we have a great time going around, meeting our people, talking to them. Have won a lot of people over that were unsure about who we are, unsure about me, because I get on here and I cuss a lot, and so they're like, we just wasn't sure. And so come out, see us, listen to us. We got a plan, and I think you'll enjoy it. So Rochester, Branch 210, we're going to be there the 6th. The 7th, we're going to be in Savannah, Georgia with Branch 578. And so make sure y'all come and see us there. Can't wait to get down there. And then May 12th, Branch 3, Buffalo, New York with my main man, David Groskoff. Going to be up there with him. So it's going to be a good week and a half. But not a lot going on this month. James, they're going to be locked down for contract stuff, and so we're not going to get out much. Got some of the weekends covered, but kind of the weeks are empty. And so, but then we'll get back into it June, all right? I'll talk about a few things, and then I'll get into this 271G. Now, I will have an episode again Sunday, and I'm going to cover a lot of things that people have sent me, but it's so late right now. It's almost midnight, and so I've got to do this stuff, but I am going to cover a few things. A lot of times when people ask us to come into town, some people reach out and say, hey man, would it be okay if we come and get y'all in the morning and take y'all to some station visits and let people see y'all and talk to carriers? And we appreciate that more than you know. We really do. We cannot go into stations and campaign. That is a violation of the law. And it's a major violation of the law. So we respectfully decline those things. We would love to. We would love to get out. We've been to a lot of places. We'd love to go into a lot of stations and campaign. It is a major violation of the law to do so. And so therefore we cannot and we will not. And I know there's a lot of videos of people going into stations campaigning. That is a major violation of the law. And the Department of Labor will intervene in this election. Okay? So we cannot do that, and we will not do that. I know that videos out there are evidence. And it's a head scratcher to me that people would willfully and knowingly violate the law and put it on video on social media and have those things spammed on different places, a direct violation of labor law. And those things are in violation of Section 401G of the LMRDA, and that's the Labor Management Reporting and Disclosure Act. And so, yes, we cannot do that, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of that stuff is going on, and it's too late to scrub it because people have gotten a hold of that, and those things are evidence. And I've always told people, I tell my carriers today, don't ever write anything that you're not willing to testify to later. Don't ever leave recordings of things that you're not willing to testify to later, and don't ever make video of things you're not willing to testify to later. And so things that are put out cannot be scrubbed, cannot be removed because of, people have gotten a hold of it. But we cannot do that. Like I said, we would love to. We would love to go out and talk to our people on the workroom floor, but that's a direct violation of the law. Matter of fact, and I know somebody was questioning about this the other day on a podcast, and it looked like they were surprised when they read it that they were in violation of the law and also postal policy. But there was a letter sent out, a memo sent out back in, I believe it's 1999, area managers, human resources, area managers, labor relations, and it's the subject, updated guidelines for supervisors during union election activities. And you go to line item 19 and 20. And 19 says, do not allow a national, regional, or local union officer who is not a working employee of your facility to come on your premises for any reason without first seeking permission from headquarters, the region, or the local postmaster, respectively. And then it states this on 20. If a national, regional, or local union officer has received proper permission to enter your facility for purposes of contract administration, do not allow him to engage in any election-related activities. The union officer may, however, distribute campaign literature in the parking lot. And so, yes, we will not do that. We will not do that. I know that there is a case that is kind of the gold standard when you talk about labor law violations like I'm seeing online on social media. And like I said, just bizarre ass shit that I'm looking at videos of people actively violating the law and during election time by actively campaigning on workroom floors, handing out pens and things like that. And the only reason it pisses me off is that the CLC slate is ready to go day one. We don't want anything interfering with us taking over. Not some buffoon out there violating the law constantly, putting up videos of them violating the law. We don't want anything to interfere with that. Now, James will win, and so the Department of Labor, if they get involved, which they will, because too much evidence is out there of violations, and but it won't interfere with the outcome because James will win. Now, if somebody else won that was actively violating the law, the Department of Labor to come in and overturn that. And so, but we don't have to worry about that because James is going to win. But that's the reason when I go into these stations and I tell people, I said, if you were to make a list, and I'll say it until we get elected. If you're to make a list, what would be on the list of what you're wanting from your union, from your president? And at the top of that list, it has to be integrity. It has to be integrity. And James Henry is the only one with an ounce of it. You see constant buffoonery from others. It's just gutter type shit, constant shit on Facebook, stirring up shit, and you got James focused on making sure he's got a slate that's going against the status quo, that's going to put the letter carrier first, and going to get across this finish line. And you got others just completely discombobulated. But yes, a direct violation of the law by doing that. But there's a case, United States District Court for the District of Nevada, Elizabeth Dole, Secretary of Labor, United States Department of Labor, versus Local Union 226 Hotel and Restaurant Employees. And so this will kind of set some of your minds at ease. But part of it talks about business agents use their status to gain candidate access to restricted areas of hotels. Several union business agents use their official positions to gain access for themselves and candidates of the Michael slate to the back end of hotels. The back ends are non-public areas solely used for hotel employees. At least 3 union business agents and they got the names there, have stated that they took members of the Michael slate into the back ends of hotels so that the slate members could campaign. And that's what you're seeing now, is you're seeing individuals actively campaigning and the employer paying carriers to stand around and listen to them campaign, which is a direct violation of the LMRDA. And the conclusion, it states, although campaign violations were committed by the incumbent officers of Local 226, the court finds that it would contravene the purposes of the LMRDA to nullify the election in which innocent insurgents gained political office, and that would be James Henry. He's innocent. He's not done any of that. Matter of fact, we tell members of our slate at no time ever are to you to go onto any workroom floor and campaign. We tell them that constantly. Anybody that comes onto the slate, you will not go onto the workroom floor and campaign. That is a direct violation of the law. And so it says, furthermore, the court finds that the violations affected all insurgent candidates similarly, and that the vote count was such that a reasonable inference suggests that the violations did not affect the results of the election. Thus, the election results will not be disturbed. And so the Department of Labor will get involved. Too much evidence out there, and I do know that too many people have gotten a hold of that and have reached out to us. And like I said, we're not part of it. We will not be part of it. Here's, if you want a list of things, kind of reference hypotheticals. If I was to take a union vehicle, if I'm a business agent, and this is hypothetically speaking, if I'm a business agent and the union pays me, it gives me a vehicle, it's paid for by union dues, a union vehicle, and I was to drive that vehicle, say, to ACE training in Atlanta or in Georgia. If I'm to a business agent from another region and I drive this vehicle to ACE training and I leave that ACE training and I go campaign at a branch and then come back, that is a direct violation of the law because you drove a union vehicle to do that. That's a direct violation of the law. Here's another one, for instance, a hypothetical. If you have someone employed by the NALC, they're employed, they're being paid by the NALC, okay? And they take their credentials and they take say somebody running for president, a business agent running for president. This is hypothetically speaking. And this individual takes those credentials that they have to gain access to the workroom floor and then allows this individual to campaign. That is a major violation of the law. And so things like that happen, hypothetically, are all documented. They're all documented. And they're all violations of the law. So when I tell you that the main thing that you need right now is integrity, that's what I'm talking about. This union needs integrity right now more than anything else. It can never be a win at all cost attitude. And to those that always reach out wanting us to go on the workroom floors, we appreciate you more than you know, and we would love to do so. We would absolutely love to do it. We will not. We will not. We're going to win this thing fair and square. We're not going to cheat to do it. We're going to do it straight up. James has got a hell of a fucking slate of powerhouses, and it's going to get stronger. That's coming. And so we're going to do it the right way. This union right now is starving for integrity. We have none. We don't have any with this clown right now at the top. And so it's going to be a breath of fresh air to have James in there, somebody with integrity, and doesn't just break the fucking law all the time. There really is no threat to James. I know that you had a business agent out in Region 2 was at some function talking about, in his opinion, the vote is 50-50, Renfro and James. Complete craziness. Complete insanity to think that Renfro is even close to James in a vote is complete insanity. But there's self-preservation going on there. There's people probably that are relying on him to win, in my opinion. And so that's complete. Of course, these same individuals thought that they would win the TA vote when they were pumping the TA. and thought that would be close and got absolutely trounced. And they still support this bastard that pushed it through on us. You'll see a lot of people with that Region 2 business agent as their profile picture on Facebook. Bizarre that anybody could support anybody who supports Renfro. I don't give a damn who it is. This guy has set us back a decade by his complete incompetence. And for anybody to say that they should remain in office should immediately lose their position. Crazy as shit, man. We need fighters right now more than at any time in our history. And we don't have it. We don't have it. And so, yes, to say that James and Renfro are neck and neck, 50-50, is bizarre. James will win that by 60%. Renfro will come in a distant second. I'm talking about distant second. And so up there at headquarters, they know that James is going to win. They're doing everything humanly possible to come up with any kind of simulation of a slate, anything humanly possible to do so. I know that past president that put Renfro in charge has turned his back on Renfro, and he's doing everything he can to get a slate together. The thing is that, hell, he's lost all of our trust because you gave us Renfro and you didn't tell us at the time that he was a drunk. And look at the devastation that caused because you didn't inform us. You kind of underhandedly put him in there. And you knew better. And there's a lot of people that knew better, that knew that Renfro was having major issues with alcoholism and didn't tell us. And so I look for some people to kind of pop out and put maybe a semi-slate together. And we'll call that the Rolando slate. And so, because they're not just going to let James walk in there. They know that Renfro is done. You got others violating the fucking law. And so, yeah, I mean, they're in disarray. And James steady moving forward, putting a fucking powerhouse slate together. Competence plus with that guy. And so I couldn't be more pleased to be with him on the slate. I'll talk about one more thing and then we'll get into this 271G. A lot of chatter online, a lot of talk about wanting the CLC to get involved with all these issues out there in California and Branch 70. We are not going to comment on it. We're not. There is an active appeal going on and the CLC has been named, has been implicated. We will not talk about it. And people just losing their shit online. Losing their shit. They're not talking. They're guilty. We're not talking. We're not going to talk about it. The CLC has been named. As a slate, they've been named. And there's a appeal going on. Like I said, don't ever say anything that you're not willing to answer for later. If there's an appeal going on and I've been named, I'm not talking. You can be as mad as you fucking want to, and you can call me whatever you want to. You can call me bitch and coward and all that. I'll be all of that. I'm not talking about it. Okay? So anytime you see it online, all these people, and this is being driven by something else. And after the appeal, I'll talk about it. All of it. I'll give you my opinion and what I know. After the appeal. Until that appeal goes through, we're not talking about it. So every day you can write 50 things about it, calling us whatever you want to. I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck. The appeal will play out. And that's what I constantly say. That's the only thing I'm going to say. Focus on the appeal. The appeal will play out. And as soon as that appeal plays out, you'll hear from me. But until then, I'm not saying shit because you've named the CLC. You've named us. And it's all over. The CLC this, CLC that. So since you did that, we're not commenting. Plain and simple. So like I said, you can write a column every fucking day about how big a piece of shit Corey is and a coward and all this shit. Don't care. I'll be all of that. But I'm not going to comment on it, okay, until after the appeal. So that appeal will go through, and you're going to follow that process. Like it, don't give a fuck. But that's just how I am. We're not fucking idiots. When you name us, we'll shut it down. Because you're going to name us, You're going to have to prove it. Okay? Just remember that. And so, yeah, when that appeal goes through, you'll hear from me. All right? I'll get on anything y'all want me to and answer all the questions you want me to answer after the appeal. But until that appeal goes through, we're not saying shit. Okay? So, like it, don't like it, don't care. All right? 271G. 271G. A lot of stuff going on here with a 271G, special route count and inspection. Because you have a major number of routes being taken out of the city carrier craft right now. A lot of routes being taken out, which is going to leave a lot of routes overburdened. Okay? So, there should be a record number of 271Gs being put in right now. A record number. But all of these things go together. You got management right now pushing PET and DOAS. Pushing these 1 hour office times, directly affecting our route times. They're curtailing routes, they're curtailing mail, and that is affecting our routes. You're talking about no overtime. So how are they going to do that? They're going to curtail mail, curtail routes even. It's going to be hard to show that routes are overburdened to the point of requiring or gaining a 271G, okay? And so you're going to have to document. That's the reason the curtail slip is so important, to document these things that management is intentionally curtailing us out of qualifying for a 271G. Another thing, when you put in for a 271G, what does management always do? They will retaliate against the station. And so that's something that carriers are going to have to understand as a body, right? An injury to one is an injury to all. So when you have this station and you've got a carrier over here whose route is overburdened, the other carriers in that office need to understand, we got to take care of my man over here. Or we got to take care of this young lady over here. Their route is overburdened. When they put in for a 271G, they're going to come after all of us, but an injury to one, those people over there, is an injury to all of us. Their route's overburdened. They should be made as close to 8 hours as possible. So when they put in for that, we're just going to have to take the brunt of it because management will retaliate by probably going after a few other routes. They say, okay, since you qualified for a 271G, what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to Corey's route because his seems a little light. We're going to go over to this one because theirs seems a little light. And we're going to adjust those. We're going to inspect those because you did what you did. So there will be a form of retaliation, okay, when that happens. And so understand that going into it. There should be a record number of 271Gs being put in right now because of the sheer volume of routes taken out of this country right now. There should be a record number of 271Gs, special route count inspection. I got this offline. There's a lot of stuff offline or online when you look up 271G, and this is one of the better ones that I found. And it's a great one. It gives you everything that you need. Okay, it gives you everything that you need. I'm just going to read it. I think it's 12 pages. I'm going to read it because it tells you every single thing that you need. Article 19 issued denial of special route inspection. 1. Definition. Section 271G of the M39 handbook allows carriers to make requests for special route inspections. Carriers qualify for such 6-day counts and inspections by using more than 30 minutes of overtime or auxiliary assistance 3 times a week for any consecutive 6-week period. Management is required to complete these special route inspections within 4 weeks of the request if the carrier has properly qualified. And I'm going to read that again because it's very important. Carriers qualify for such 6-day counts and inspections by using more than 30 minutes of overtime or auxiliary assistance 3 times a week for any consecutive 6-week period. All right? 3 times a week for any consecutive 6-week period. Management is required to complete these special route inspections within 4 weeks of the request if the carrier has properly qualified. Now remember that language because there's some great sites in here for you on that, okay? Make sure you got a pen and paper too. I'm going to give you a lot of arbitration sites. A lot. And a lot of language, okay? The 6-day count and inspection must be performed in the same manner as a regular 6-day count per section 272 of the M39. Management may not deny the special route inspection on the basis of unsatisfactory performance during the qualification period unless the deficiency occurred during the qualification period and discussions had been held with the carrier concerning the alleged unsatisfactory performance prior to the request for special inspection. Why is that important? About 50% of the time, when you qualify, management's contentions will state the carrier was not doing up to standard. The carrier was not performing as they should. The carrier was doing this. The carrier is doing that. It must be documented. And they will do that. I've had that happen before. They will do that. And all I state is, give me the documentation that you got supporting that. Give me everything that you got. Give me the 3999s, the 1838Cs, the 4584s. Give me all these things that will substantiate what you just said. Okay? Arbitrators have allowed remedies for the Postal Service failing to complete the special route inspection within the 4-week time frame. 1-day count street inspections do not satisfy the requirement of 271G of the M39 unless they are the result of a settlement reached between management and the union. In accordance with 271H, mail shall not be curtailed for the sole purpose of avoiding the need for a special route inspection. And so when carriers keep talking about delayed mail, intentionally the delaying of mail. I had an episode, Joshua Shrum had that fantastic grievance starter on delaying the mail. You've got record amounts of mail being delayed right now, routes being delayed right now. In accordance with 271H, mail shall not be curtailed for the sole purpose of avoiding the need for a special route inspection. 2. Contractual and handbook sites. Here's your pen and paper. Contractual and handbook sites. A. National Agreement, Article 19. Why 19? Because it's going to incorporate M39 handbook, all right, and the M41 handbook, and all these pre-arbs and all these other things. Memorandums of understanding. All those are incorporated by Article 19. M39, Section 271G and 271H. Now remember, 271H is mail shall not be curtailed for the sole purpose of avoiding the need for a special route inspection. C. M39, Section 272. The MRS, pages 303 and 304, and that's in here. I'll read that for you. National Pre-Arb, M1072. And the MERS, pages 299 and 300. Again, all these things I'll read to you. M872. M872. So here's the ones we've got so far. 1072 and M872. Memorandum of Understanding, July 21st, 1987. JCAM pages 41-21. JCAM page 19-1. Documents which the parties may jointly develop and review to establish all relevant facts. A. Form 3996. Carrier auxiliary control of days used by the carrier to qualify for a special route inspection. And that's important. Why? That's one of the greatest things we have as far as evidence of auxiliary control, auxiliary assistance. Okay? But we're going to say, hey, I'm going to need, my route's showing about 8:45 today. I'm going to need 45 minutes of overtime. All right, we're going to take that off of you. We're going to give it to so-and-so. All right? If you don't have a 3996, it's lost. Okay? That time is lost because management will lie. Now, I can pull the work hour workload and show that they were given off if they did it right. Put in that 3996 requesting that overtime. It's the best thing for a 271G to show, hey, look, I know I'm on the ODL, but every day I put in for my 3996s, I needed this amount of overtime, and it was either taken off of me, or it was granted, or it's denied, whatever. And those are some of the best forms for us when they're showing something that is driven by overtime, the 271G. B, proof that the carrier has requested a special route inspection. C, tax, carrier activity reports for the period of qualification. D, work hour workload report for the route during the time frame in question. Form 1621, carrier route report. Form 1621, carrier route report. F, supervisor carrier notes of any discussions held during the 6-week qualification period concerning performance, and that is what I was talking about earlier. I'm going to ask for all the documentation where management has addressed my performance or lack thereof. Okay? And that's going to be important because why? Because they will lie. They will lie. Form 1571, curtailed mail report, if applicable. 3, factors which must be considered when evaluating the case. A, did the carrier qualify per the provisions of M39 section 271G and or 271H? B, did management discuss with the carrier any alleged performance problems during the qualification period? And those are things that you'll talk to the carrier about when they come up and they say, hey man, I believe I qualify for a 271G. You can say, hey, have they ever addressed any performance issues? Well, yeah, we're always having problems with my performance, but the route's supposed to be evaluated to me. All right, that's fine, but what have we talked about with performance? Well, they've been coming out there and seeing me sitting somewhere for an hour or so. All these things need to be addressed before we step in our own shit, okay? So, did management discuss with the carrier any alleged performance problems during the qualification period? Now, if they do try to put in, hey, look, we've got all these stationary events. I'm going to put in that memo, okay, about GPS data, okay? If they say, look, he did qualify, but on this date, he was stationary for 40 minutes. On this date, he was stationary for 30 minutes. All right, well, what discussions did you have about his performance on that time? Well, none. Well, then you didn't care. Make sure we get that step 4 about the GPS data, okay? And section 134 of the M39 as well, talking about spying using covert techniques. And if you see any forms of loitering, you must accompany the carrier on the street to see what's going on. None of these things have happened. And so I'm not going to consider anything they put in later about performance if you did not go onto the street and accompany this individual when you saw these things of loitering or potential or alleged loitering, okay? That's 134 of the M39 handbook. Did management complete the 60 special route inspection within 4 weeks of this request? If the regular carrier was not on their assignment during the whole 6-week qualification period, did the replacement carrier meet the criteria of 271G of the M39? E, was there an exception granted in accordance with the National Pre-Arb regarding the implementation of the adjustments within 52 days? 4, possible remedies citations. C10474. C10474. Regional Arbitrator Johnson, October 17th of 1990. Where management wrongfully refused to give special route examination, remedy is to pay aggrieved carrier at the overtime rate for all hours of auxiliary assistance. And that's on the MRS page 305. B, C09970. C09970. Regional Arbitrator Lane, April 4th, 1990. Management wrongly denied grievance request for a special examination on the grounds that he had not sewed the route long enough to become proficient, a monetary remedy ordered. C, cease and desist from improperly denying special inspection request. Perform the special inspection without delay and pay the affected carrier $10 per day from the time the inspection should have been conducted until such time as it is completed. D, pay the agreement an additional 50% for all the overtime hours they worked from the time the inspection should have been conducted until such time as the required adjustments are implemented. Then it's got the contractual language, 27 special route inspections, 271 when required. Special route inspections may be required when one or more of the following conditions or circumstances is present. When one or more. It doesn't say when multiples. It says when one or more. All right. A. Consistent use of overtime or auxiliary assistance. When the X route process is utilized, routes may be built up to more than 8 hours and 20 minutes during the interim period. That doesn't affect us. B. Excessive undertime. And that's what you'll have to look for when you put in for a 271G. Management will come in and put in for a 271B. That was what I was talking about earlier. They'll say, okay, you're going to put in for a 271G, and we're going to hear Corey's route. He's showing a lot of undertime. We're going to go over here and do theirs in accordance with 271B, excessive undertime. You cannot let that dissuade you from doing that, okay? If you qualify for a 271G, put in for it and get your route cut. You cannot concern yourself with how other people deliver their routes, okay? Their routes may legitimately be under. If you qualify, you qualify. Put in for it. C. New construction or demolition which has resulted in an appreciable change in the route. D. A simple adjustment to a route cannot be made. E. A carrier requests a special inspection and it is warranted. F. Carrier consistently leaves and or returns late. G. 271G. If over any 6 consecutive week period where work performance is otherwise satisfactory, a route shows over 30 minutes of overtime or auxiliary assistance on each of the 3 days or more in each week during this period, the regular carrier assigned to such route shall, upon request, receive a special melt count and inspection to be completed within 4 weeks of the request. The month of December must be excluded from consideration when determining a 6 consecutive week period. However, if a period of overtime and auxiliary assistance begins in November and continues into January, then January is considered as a consecutive period even though December is omitted. A new 6 consecutive week period is not begun. Okay, so if you've got September, October, November, you can't do December. You go into January and it still qualifies. They cannot say December, you can't count December, so it breaks the 271 process. You're going to have to pick back up in January. Not true. You go September, October, November, January. December's omitted. You just keep going, okay? H. May should not be curtailed for the sole purpose of avoiding the need for special mail counts and inspections. Then you got Article 19. I talked about that earlier. That's how you incorporate Step 4. That's how you incorporate M39. And then here's some MERS language for you. Material Reference System. Here's some language for you on that. M39 Handbook, which is incorporated into the National Agreement by Article 19, requires that a special route inspection be given whenever a carrier requests one and the qualifying criteria have been met. M39 Section 271 states in relevant part, 271G. If over any 6 consecutive week period, when work performance is otherwise satisfactory, a route shows over 30 minutes of overtime or auxiliary assistance on each of the 3 days or more in each week during this period, the regular carrier assigned to such a route shall, upon request, receive a special melt count and inspection within 4 weeks of the request. The month of December must be excluded from consideration when determining a 6 consecutive week period. However, if a period of overtime and or auxiliary assistance begins in November and continues into January, then January is considered to be a consecutive period even though December is omitted. A new consecutive week period is not begun. 271H. Mail shall not be curtailed for the sole purpose of avoiding the need for special mail count and inspections. And that's why it's critical that we're filling out these curtail slips, okay? The guarantees provided by Section 271G of the M39 Handbook were further strengthened by a Memorandum of Understanding on Special Counts and Inspections incorporated into the 1987 and subsequent National Agreement. The memorandum states, the United States Postal Service and the National Association of Letter Carriers, AFL-CIO, agree that it is in the best interest of the Postal Service for letter carrier routes to be in proper adjustment. Therefore, when the regular carrier has requested a special mail count and inspection, and the criteria set forth in Part 271G of the Methods Handbook M39 have been met, such inspection must be completed within 4 weeks of the request and shall not be delayed. If the results of the inspection indicate that the route is to be adjusted, Such adjustment must be placed in effect within 52 calendar days. I'm going to read all that again. Therefore, where the regular carrier has requested a special mail count and inspection, and the criteria set forth in Part 271G of the Methods Handbook M39 have been met, such inspection must be completed within 4 weeks of this request and shall not be delayed. If the results of the inspection indicated that route is to be adjusted, such adjustment must be placed in effect within 52 calendar days of the completion of the mail count in accordance with Section 211.3 of the M39 Methods Handbook. Exceptions may be granted by a division general manager only when warranted by valid operational circumstances substantiated by a detailed written statement which shall be submitted to the local union within 7 days of the grant of the exception. The union shall then have the right to appeal the granting of the exception directly to Step 3 of the grievance procedure within 14 days. The JCAM explains this memorandum as follows on page 41-22. Exceptions may be granted by the district manager when warranted by valid operational circumstances. In such cases, management must provide the local union a detailed written statement substantiating the circumstances. The parties have not defined what constitutes valid operational circumstances. Challenges to the basis for granting extensions should be considered on a case-by-case basis on individual merits. The union may appeal the granting of the extension to Step B within 14 days of notification of the extension. National Arbitrator Britain held in C number 11099. C 11099. Management must complete special route examinations within 4 weeks of the request whenever these criteria have been met if the inspection must be conducted during the months of June, July, and August. Almost without exception, arbitrators have held that special inspections are mandatory when the union can prove that the criteria of M39 Section 271 have been met. This is true even in cases where the regular carrier has been absent for part of the 6-week period. The provisions of Section 271 refer to the route and not the carrier on the route, despite the fact that the purpose of any such inspection is to adjust the route to the individual carrier. And I've got some M documents for you. M01262, M01262, M01263, M01263, and M00688. M00688. Moreover, once a carrier requests a special route inspection and demonstrates that it is warranted, the Postal Service cannot circumvent requirement to conduct the inspection by unilaterally providing relief or making an adjustment. See 08727. That's an arbitration site. See 08727. The special route inspections provided for in M39 Section 271 must be conducted in exactly the same manner as regular counts and inspections. They differ from regular route inspections only in that they may be conducted in June, July, or August. It is, however, not always in the best interest of letter carriers to request them during the low-volume summer months. Failure to make standards or the inability to finish a route in the allotted time is not, in itself, just cause for discipline. However, letter carriers who have requested and qualify for a special route inspection are afforded an additional protection. Regional Arbitrator Levac held in C05952, C05952, that once a route qualifies for a special inspection and the regular carrier has requested one, any discipline for expansion of street time is inappropriate unless and until such time as an inspection is conducted. Special route inspections are not unit and route reviews. The right to a special route inspection is unaffected by the fact that the office involved may be undergoing or scheduled for a unit and route review. Special route examinations are not a meaningless exercise. The M39 handbook requires not only that special inspections be conducted when the qualifying criteria have been met, but also that special inspections result in permanent adjustments to 8 hours. M39 section 242.122 states, 242.122, the proper adjustment of carrier routes means an equitable and feasible division of the work among all of the carrier routes assigned to the office. All regular routes should consist of as nearly 8 hours daily work as possible. Now, when you qualify for a 271G, that means what? That management has failed under their responsibility of section 242.122. They should have noticed that your route is overburdened and qualified. Now, they have these red flags. When you get close to a 271G, they're supposed to do whatever humanly possible to keep you from that. They're supposed to do whatever they can. I know that for a fact. They got red flags that come up on their computer if something shows that your route is approaching qualifying for a 271G. And they'll tell you that. If you qualify, then they have failed under their responsibility to make all routes as close to 8 hours as daily work as possible. They failed in doing that. They should have adjusted your route. But since they didn't, the only recourse we have is 271G. Arbitrators have held that it is not sufficient for the Postal Service merely to follow the procedures specified in the M39 when examining and adjusting routes. Rather, the final result must be an 8-hour route. See 07630. Regional Arbitrator Diltz wrote as follows. The inspections are not before the arbitrator as part of the present issue. What is before this arbitrator is the matter of adjustments. In examining the record, it is clear that the subject routes are not 8-hour routes. This does not mean that the procedures for adjustments were somehow violated. The methods by which adjustments are made and the results of those adjustments on letter carrier workloads may be viewed as separable issues under the language of M39. Carefully document violations. As in all contract cases, the union has the burden of proof to establish that there was a contract violation. In special route examination grievances, this means that the union must be able to prove that there was 30 minutes of overtime or auxiliary assistance on each of 3 days or more in each week of the 6-week qualifying period. This is not always straightforward. Proving that overtime was used can ordinarily be done using time records. However, proving that auxiliary assistance was required can be more problematic. Often, supervisors fail to accurately record which routes received auxiliary assistance and how much. Fortunately, Article 41, Section 3G of the National Agreement provides a solution. It states, the employer will advise a carrier who has properly submitted a carrier auxiliary control form 3996 of the disposition of the request promptly after review of the circumstances at the time. Upon request, a duplicate copy of the completed Form 3996 and Form 1571, report of undeliverable mail, etc., will be provided to carriers. Carriers requesting auxiliary assistance should always exercise their right to request and receive a copy of all Forms 3996 submitted. See Form 3996. They should be checked for accuracy. It is also suggested that letter carriers who believe they may qualify for a special route examination keep a daily log recording their overtime, any auxiliary assistance they receive, and any other relevant information. Remedies for violations. Arbitrators differ in background, training, and attitudes. As a generalization, however, most of them are either lawyers or have learned to think as lawyers do. This means arbitrators seek to be guided by precedent. They are more likely to grant the union's remedy if it can be shown that other arbitrators have granted similar remedy requests in similar circumstances. By showing arbitrators that there is precedent for a requested remedy, union advocates can increase an arbitrator's comfort and confidence levels. This underscores the need to conduct careful research to find support for remedy requests. Arbitrators have generally granted monetary remedies in cases where the Postal Service violated the contract by refusing to conduct special route inspections when they were required to do so by the terms of M39 Section 271G. They have reasoned that, since the grievance were required to work overtime, they should not have worked. No possible future remedy could return that time. Since merely instructing the Postal Service not to violate the agreement in the future would not, in their view, be sufficient to make the grievance whole, monetary remedies are generally ordered. Arbitrator Pribble in C05545 explained this as follows. Without clear evidence in this record that the parties anticipated some way to make whole the three grievants who have been harmed by clear and repeated breaches of the agreement, some monetary award is needed for the grievance. Unlike the Gamser award, no restructuring of future opportunities or equalization formula applies here. In this case, the three grievants had been required to work overtime they should not have worked. No possible future remedy can return this time to them. Moreover, it would be an insufficient remedy here merely to instruct the MSC not to breach the agreement in the future. This remedy will make the grievance as whole as possible at this time. The employer is ordered to pay the grievance 1 extra hour's pay at the regular rates of pay for each and every day that each grievant has worked overtime until the results of their special route inspections are implemented. That's a great decision. And that's C05545. There is more agreement among arbitrators that some monetary or time-off remedy is due in such cases than there is upon the exact form any such remedy should take. For example, in contrast to Arbitrator Pribble's award cited above, Arbitrator Grossman in C06720 ordered the Postal Service to pay 1 hour's pay at his regular rate for pay for each and every hour that he was required to work in excess of 8½ hours. Other arbitrators have ordered or memorialized consent awards agreeing to monetary payments in fixed dollar amounts as remedies. This makes sense, as experienced representatives know every case is different and will be decided and remedied based on the specific facts. If the grievant is ordinarily required to work overtime on a route rather than receiving his auxiliary assistance, remedies such as those given in C08727, C08727, or C09327 are sufficient. If, on the other hand, the grievance often received auxiliary assistance, the remedies provided in C07606, that's C07606, C10474, or C15022 may be better. See supporting arbitration awards below. The Contract Administration Unit also recommends that remedy requests include the additional catch-all phrase, or that the grievant be otherwise made whole. This is because sometimes the union is able to convince an arbitrator that the terms of the contract have been breached, only to have the arbitrator find that the particular remedy requested is inappropriate to remedy the specific violation. Avoid excessive remedy requests. All remedy requests should be reasonably formulated to provide a make-whole remedy. Excessive or unreasonable remedy requests should be avoided. For example, C21475, our regional arbitrator Axon reduced the remedy he otherwise would have awarded because he believed that the remedy requested by the union made settlement impossible in the earlier steps of the grievance procedure. He wrote, "The union in this case must share part of the fault for the inability of the parties to settle the Becerra grievance. In the initial written grievance and throughout the grievance procedure, the union claimed $100 per day for Becerra until management corrected the errors and readjusted his route to 8 hours. At the arbitration hearing, the union modified its demand to $10 per day. In the judgment of this arbitrator, $100 per day for the violation at issue in this case at bar would be excessive and punitive. Nothing in the record of this case comes close to demanding a payment of $100 per day to Becerra until management corrected its efforts and properly adjusted grievance routes." Now, I don't know if y'all remember when I was doing the 6-day count episodes. I had several arbitrators' decisions where they agreed that $10 per calendar day is an appropriate remedy. That's easy for them to eat. They can chew on that, okay? We can sell that. $10 per calendar day until the routes are adjusted properly. There's numerous arbitrator precedents on that. We can get an arbitrator a handful of those where arbitrators have agreed $10 a calendar day. They can eat that, okay? Supporting material, M1476. M1476. The issue in this grievance is whether a local district policy is in violation of Handbook M39 Section 271G when it states that the 6 weeks analysis period starts with the most recent Friday prior to the date of the special inspection request and works backward for 6 consecutive weeks. While it's anticipated by the parties that the request for a special route inspection pursuant to 271G of the Handbook M39 will be based on reasonably current data, the local district policy as described above is unreasonably restrictive and be rescinded. This agreement is without prejudice to management's right to argue that a request for special inspection under 271G was unreasonably delayed, or the union's right to contend that such argument is without merit. M1486, Step 4. The issue in this case is whether the time limit for initiating an informal Step A dispute over the denial of a request for a special route inspection made under Section 271G of the Handbook M39 begins at the end of the 6-week qualifying period. After reviewing this matter, we mutually agree that no national interpretive issue is presented in this case. The parties agree that the time limit for initiating an informal Step A dispute over the denial of a request for a special route inspection does not begin at the end of the 6-week qualifying period unless it is the date the request is denied. M00211. The Postal Service reaffirms that when special inspections are made pursuant to Part 227 of the M39 Handbook, they shall be conducted in the same manner as the annual count and inspection. M632, Step 4. When a regular special office count is conducted, it will be accomplished in accordance with the applicable provisions of Handbook M39. M728, Step 4. Special inspections shall be conducted in the same manner as the annual count and inspection. M660, Step 4. A supervisor should normally reserve any comments about the grievance performance during a special route inspection until the inspection is later discussed with the carrier. M690, Step 4. A letter carrier who is limited to 8 hours of duty may still qualify for a special route inspection if no other limitations exist which could distort a proper evaluation. M609. In the instant case, the grievant, who is the regular carrier on the route in question, requested a special count and inspection of his route because the provisions of Section 271G of the M39 had been met. His request was refused because he only served on his route 8 days out of the 38-day period. The union contends that provisions of M39 Section 271 refers to the route and not the regular carrier assigned to the route, and that the grievance request should be honored even though he was not serving his route during the entire period in question. This position is consistent with that of the Postal Service. M00219, USPS Policy Letter. In the Memorandum of Understanding of July 21, 1981, between the USPS and NEOC, we agreed that our joint objective is to reduce the number of carrier routes that will be scheduled for annual mail counts and route inspections. The memorandum does not limit or preclude inspections required under the provisions of Section 271G Handbook M39. If a route meets the criteria in Section 271G M39 and the regular carrier assigned to the route requests a special mail count and inspection, management must conduct the count and inspection within 4 weeks of the request. Unsatisfactory conditions such as poor case labels, poor work methods, or no route examiners available should not be used as an excuse not to conduct the inspection within the 4-week time frame. M695, Step 4. Section 221.121 of the Methods Handbook, Series M39, provides for carrier verification of counts when the manager counts the mail during a mail count and inspection. The intent of this language is also applicable to special office mail counts as provided for Section 141.2 of the same handbook. There simply are no provisions for mail count verification of linear measurements. M688, Step 4. A route may qualify for a special count and inspection pursuant to the provisions of M39, Section 271, even though the regular carrier was not serving the route during the entire 6 consecutive week period due to illness. M1262, Step 4. Pursuant to 271 M39 Handbook, the regular carrier may request a special mail count if, during any 6 consecutive weeks, The route shows over 30 minutes overtime or auxiliary assistance on each of the 3 days or more in each week during the period. The special mail count should be granted where the carrier's work performance is otherwise satisfactory. The absence of the regular carrier during a portion of the period is not currently a controlling factor. Note, in the case, the agreement had only carried the route for 30% of the qualifying period. During the rest of the time, it had been carried by a PTF. M1263, Step 4. The parties agree that the M39 Handbook provision, Part 271G, refers to the route and not the regular carrier as assigned to the route. Further, we agreed the only question in this case is whether the part-time flexible carrier's work performance was satisfactory during the 6 consecutive week period. Therefore, this case is suitable for regional determination. Note, in this case, the agreement was new on the route. The route had been vacant during the qualifying period and had been carried by the PTF carriers and the T6. Arbitration case citations. I'm just going to give you all these C numbers, and there's a ton of them. But I'm just going to give you these C numbers, okay? So write these numbers down. Great arbitrations to help you for 271Gs. And if you have access to that, if you have access to arbitrations, I would get them and read them. When I was an advocate, I would read 100 cases a day. I would just read them. And then I still have it. I have a little pad with some of my favorites dealing with each specific issues. And anytime somebody called me and said, hey, do you have a site for this? I'd be like, yep, I got 4 of them. And I would just tell them. I still got it. But I would just read them and pick out my favorite ones. So here's C numbers. Anytime you see a C number, that's an arbitration, okay? C number 7232, Arbitrator Grossman. C 7232, Arbitrator Grossman. C 5952, Arbitrator Levac. 5952, Arbitrator Levac. C 9970, Regional Arbitrator Lang. C 9970, Regional Arbitrator Lang. C 10474, Regional Arbitrator Johnston. C 10516, Arbitrator Williams. And C 10635, Arbitrator Rokas. Okay? And I've got a ton more if you need them. Holler at me. But that'll be enough for you. And generally in arbitration, you'll put in 5. That's kind of the status quo, is put in 5. All right. So there you have it. 271G. Probably do another episode on 271G. There's a lot of stuff online about it, and that was one of the things that I liked the most right there. And so may do another one because, like I said, there should be more 271Gs being put in right now than ever before because management is coming out and cleaning house on our routes. Now I'm hearing there's some joint process fixing to come down the way. Some of the things I'm hearing about it, I pray are not in it, and so I'm not going to discuss it unless they are. But I had a couple of people reach out and say, man, they're doing this and there, and I'm just crossing my fingers that we've got some bad information. But there is a joint process. You keep hearing that it's coming out any day now. I don't know, but we'll see. I've got the Wolf coming on right now, Brother James Henry, who will be the next president of this union. And love that guy, man. Love that guy. Integrity plus. So, yeah. Again, can't get on the workroom floor. We're not going to go campaign on the workroom floor. And all this other stuff, all these people trying to get us sidetracked on all this other circus type shit, we're not doing it. Okay? Just not doing it. And anytime you got somebody that's an establishment lackey as your profile, I don't consider anything you say. There's a lot of them. I know why all this is driven. I know what this is coming from. It's the anti-CLC people. I know that. I get it. And like I said, after the appeal, I'll address it in full. All you want, I'll address it. Exactly what's up. Okay? We know where it's coming from. We know what's driving it. We know that. We're not fools. We're not commenting on it. All right? But anytime I see somebody commenting about me and they got some lackey, Renfro suck ass, as their profile picture. You might as well just be saying blah 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 blah. That's all I see after I see some fool as your profile picture. So you're not serious to begin with if you vote somebody that's pulling for Renfro to win. Because anybody that's doing that is a fucking lackey loser ass to me. That dude has done more to harm the city letter carriers than management ever has. And so, but those days are coming where that's over with. Thank God. It seems like these last 3 years have been 30. And so we're going to put an end to that shit. And we're going to get rid of the status quo. And we'll address that other shit after the appeal. Like I said, you can spend 24 hours a day calling me a son of a bitch. Whatever you want to do. I don't give a fuck about that. We're not talking about it until that appeal's over with. Okay, baby? So, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all. Hey, I love you, Light Blue. Change is coming. Change is coming, I promise you. You will be proud of this union again, of the leadership that's coming with the CLC. You'll be proud of that. Knowing that you got integrity up there like never been. Knowing that. James Henry's got more integrity in his pinky than any 10 they could get to run against him. And to me, that's where it's about. The record speaks for itself. Nobody can match James's record. He's got the best record that's probably ever run. So I'm not concerned about that. But Light Blue, I love you. I love you. And we're going to get in there and trounce some motherfuckers when we win. Okay? We will do line type shit. All these other motherfuckers out there doing clown ass shit, that's what you would get. Clown ass shit. We ain't got to worry about that. You got lines coming in fixing to do line type shit. Okay? And disrupt some motherfuckers. All this other sideshow bullshit, they can go fuck off. Alright? They can go fuck themselves. The CLC's fixing to take over this motherfucker now. Okay? I love you, Light Blue. With everything in me, I do. It's all I fucking know. I've been doing this shit for 34 fucking years. I've been doing Light Blue. Okay? And so, yeah, we're going to take over this motherfucker in just a few months and hang the fuck on. Hang the fuck on. So, here's the wolf, James Henry. I'll talk to y'all Sunday. It's going to be a long episode Sunday. I got to get through a lot of stuff on my phone that people have sent me, but I had to do this 271G. So Sunday we'll have a long episode, but I will be back on Sunday, all right? And I'll talk to y'all. Y'all have a fantastic rest of the week, and I'll talk to y'all Sunday. I love you, all right? Bye. All right. I got the wolf with me, James Henry. James, I just got off a plane about an hour ago. You are also just getting back from a fantastic event in Pennsylvania. You had a good group there. I saw the video. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go. My wife and I took a mini vacation, and so I had to make it up to Bill. But y'all had a good time there. It seemed like you had a good group. I think Cruz was there, and my brother David Grosskopf was there. Bill Kriebel. So CLC was in the house.
Absolutely, man. That occurred on yesterday, Sunday, and it was really a fantastic event. And I have to give a huge shout out to Branch 274, who in fact hosted it. The president, Tom Sir, the VP, Tina, they put on a real event. And you had both branches of Allentown and Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, there in the house primarily, and they welcomed us with open arms, brother, and it was just really a fantastic event. First time out in Lehigh Valley, so it's a beautiful place in my view, and was really happy to have attended and for them to have invited us to be able to share the day with them.
So I heard that the highlight of the event was the pineapple upside down cake. Is that true?
Man, I gotta tell you, brother. For those of you that are listening here, if we ever come into town, my favorite cake is pineapple upside down cake. Now, everyone knows that's been around me a half a second, get a sense that I have a major sweet tooth. You know, not
Right.
necessarily for candy, but pastries is my thing. And by that being my jam, they surprised me and had a pineapple upside down cake for me. Tina said she had her best friend make it. It was fantastic. And I hadn't had one in some time. So I was just literally over the moon to have been able to partake of a piece of my favorite pastry, man. So that was really, really thoughtful and sweet of them to do.
And so we're going back the next 3 Sundays. Is that what you said?
I wish I could. I was teasing Bill today when I talked to him to again thank him for the job that he's been doing in running his campaign. And as you know, his hustle is second to none. My man has been doing a really, really fantastic job. And just on the strength alone of the effort that he has put forth, that means William Bill Kriebel, who's running for NBA for Region 12, just on the effort and the hustle that he's put in demonstrates to me just how sincere he is about making a difference and helping move this movement forward, and then particularly in his area there. And like I said, he he was he was happy as well as all of us that the event was really a good showing. And not only did we have myself and Dave Grosskopf and John Cruz, who's both running for the national trustee position, we also had to come out and support Orlando Gonzalez, who's running for national business agent in Region 15. And that's what
Yeah,
all about camaraderie and teamwork
yeah,
and support is about. So it was demonstrated yesterday, and I'm just really pleased with them. And moreover, what always says a lot to me is when these letter carriers are light blue, as you like to categorically, uh, refer to them, come out on a day off, particularly since most letter carriers are working inordinate amount of hours, and to come out on their day off just to hear our message about reforming this union and moving forward is always an inspiration to me. Now, it's an added bonus when they're inspired by the things that we talk about and the change that we would like to bring forward to the union. But what inspires us to keep going is those that are showing that they're engaged and that they care as well. So shout out to the letter carriers that came out yesterday and their families.
yeah, yeah. That's always great stuff. Wherever we go, man, you see people just getting off work. Whenever we go, see them come in, man. They've had, you can tell they've had a rough ass day, and just to come spend time with us, ask us questions, get familiar with us if they don't know us. And, that's the best of times. Now, that's the best part of all this traveling. The airplanes and stuff, that sucks, but getting to see our people, man, that's the highlight. Matter of fact, the 6th, Wednesday, we're going to be in Rochester, New York, branch 210.
Looking
And
forward to
then the 7th, we'll be at branch 578, Savannah, Georgia. And then the next week, we'll be in Buffalo on the 12th, branch 3.
Yes, sir.
So, got a pretty good week ahead of us. But this is a down month for us because you'll be out of pocket with contract stuff. Y'all be locked down, so you won't be able to do any traveling. So, it'll be a light month for us, but then here comes June and we'll be right back into it.
Right. And like you said here, it really is a labor of love because it has been, without a doubt, exhausting. But I wouldn't trade this journey for anything, man. This is a worthy cause,
Yeah.
to be in a position to perhaps make a difference on behalf of the letter carriers, those that we love as well, and this union in which we love. And as we both go around the country talking about that, this is about us. And people will look forward to us coming out there. As you say, every time we go somewhere, individual letter carriers that we've never even met or spoke to before come donning their CLC gear. I mean, there's not a place that we have not gone that multiple letter carriers have not come representing with pride their support for the CLC. And they find out very quickly that their support is not misplaced because we support letter carriers. We
Yeah.
support everything that they are in need of and are wishing for going forward. So this is a family affair in every sense of the way. And I think it's apropos to refer to each other as brothers and sisters.
Yep. Well, I love it. I love it. It's a lot of travel, man, but I love it. And
I've never been to
just think,
Savannah, Georgia. You been to Savannah, Georgia?
no,
Never been
uh-uh.
to Savannah, Georgia, never been to Rochester. And and one of the things is, Rochester, I have to give them a little extra love as well because at the onset, when we endeavored to run this race and to campaign for a better and improved union, at the time the president was Kenny Montgomery, and he came out unabashedly in support of the CLC. And the current president, her to bring us in or allow us to come speak to the membership, I think speaks volumes. But like I said, their branch, Rochester, New York, absolutely, from day one, has been a supporter of the CLC, and I'm grateful for that. And so I'll go in, I'll go work. He said, I've had to adjust and adapt to my circumstances since my request for leave without pay has been wholesalely at the point disapproved. I have to uh, work my hours and then try and find a nonstop flight to make it into places late in the evening or late afternoon so I can do the branch meetings or and then come back, do work the next morning, and then what they call wash, rinse, and repeat is what I've been doing. And one thing that I have to also, without naming all the branches right now, but one thing that has been reflective of the desire and the appetite for change is these branches that have been willing to accommodate our schedule, adjusting and adapting as well, having meetings like on Sundays and Saturday evenings because we're in leave without pay status and can't make it, to all the different places. And there's been a couple of places we've had to cancel out on, like San Francisco and over there in the St. Louis area because the constraints for leave.
Yeah.
But brother, every single weekend right now, with the exception of Father's Day weekend and Fourth of July weekend, we are booked through August 30th.
Yeah.
And for those branches that have adjusted their schedules to allow us to come out and have members to have the opportunity to come hear us present our message as to how we're going to make an effort to make their lives better, both economically and work wise, with regards to their work environment, it's just been humbling. So, thank you in advance to all the branches that have made an adjustment for us.
Yeah. Yeah. And Sundays, believe it or not, man, the last few Sundays have gone place, it's been packed.
Absolutely. Except
Yeah.
what? This time last week, well, not Monday, but Saturday, we was in Davenport, Iowa. On
Yeah.
Sunday, we were out in Omaha, Nebraska, and they came out and they were very attentive.
Yeah.
And here's the thing about it, Corey, it wasn't just active letter carriers. Retirees came out as well.
Yeah. 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 And we had a huge retiree just endorse us the other day. I know
Man,
you wanted to talk about that a little bit, and then some additions to the slate as the slate is changing and growing and getting more exciting. But we had a huge endorsement. All the endorsements we love and appreciate. But there was one in particular from kind of the Godfather of Chicago that endorsed us. We had gone up there a few weeks ago, and talked with the retirees. It was packed and some fantastic food, which is always going to get our attention. If you talk about you're going to feed us, man, we're going to show up. So we got to go up there and talk to those wonderful individuals, the retirees of Branch 11 up there in Chicago. But the Godfather of Chicago, kind of the one that's the head honcho, endorsed us. And so I don't know, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, I am very, very pleased, humbled, and honored to have received the endorsement of President Emeritus James Jim Worsham, who was again the former president of Branch 11, Chicago, Illinois. He also once was the director of retired members for the NLC at headquarters under Vincent Broughton. And as you know, when you and I and others went out there, we had a fantastic time. We were received very well by the retiree members. They provided us some of the best food that we've had on our journeys, and it was really, really a good event. In addition to that, we had an opportunity to sit down and chop it up with Mr. Worsham. And, you know, I was really surprised. He says, I've been following you, so following the CLC. I'm aware of what's going on. And, ultimately here a month later, sought and received his endorsement, for president and for the CLC as a whole. And as you indicated, that was very, very huge, considering that he had options
Yeah,
and he chose to support us. But here's the thing. You and I have had conversation here. You cannot fake authenticity. The one thing people can say whatever they want to say about you and I and the CLC. They can say whatever it is they want to say, but what they cannot say is that we're not for real about what we are because we're an open book. What
yeah,
you see is what you get. And this man, Mr. Worsham, has been around for a long time, and he's been on the slate with perhaps considered the greatest icon in the NLC with Vincent Brado. No nonsense period of time. No nonsense. No, uh, no names taken when it comes to their tenure and the leadership with the NLC. They didn't take any mess from anybody, and he could sniff it out just as sure as your name is Corey and my name is James. And for him to say that I'm going to support you, I endorse you full-heartedly and full-throated, just meant the world. So I want
yeah,
to give a shout out to Mr. Worsham. Thank you, thank you, thank you, sir.
yeah. And still as sharp as a tack. At
Sharp
90, I
as
think he's 94. I think
yeah.
he's 94 years old. And what was to me the greatest part of it was seeing all these retirees, and he was sitting at this table, and all of them, everyone, that the first thing they did when they came in was go over there and hug that man and kiss that man. And it was just anybody that came in, it was the same thing. That's how much respect this man had amongst all those individuals up there. And you can tell that they move when he says move, and they don't move unless he says it. And so that was an awesome time, just seeing that the love they had for that gentleman.
Yeah, he is definitely regarded as the Don, the Godfather of Chicago,
Yeah,
absolutely. And and for him to make the effort to come out, because let it be known, we didn't seek to go to Chicago, Branch 11. We were beckoned, we were invited by the retiree department to come. And so Mildred Cross, who is a legend in her own right with the NLC going back to the strike days. And their other former president, Jimmy Canada, who was there, that spent time with us, was just really grateful for their support and their efforts in getting us the opportunity to meet and greet and get acquainted with the other retirees there in Chicago. So again, yes, thank you one and all, and
Yeah.
particularly Mr. James Worsham.
Yeah. Yeah. That was huge. Such a great man. And I love talking to that guy. That's so full of knowledge. And to think 94 years old, and he's going all the way back, you and him just sitting there talking. You talked with him probably about 20 minutes, 30
Yes,
minutes just at the table and just throwing names back and forth. you
yes,
know, you remember so and so, just and so I was kind of creeping over closer, because I'm like, I need to get, I need to get in on this, but just how sharp he still was at 94, just those names, I remember back here and so, and you said, oh yeah, I remember him. We went to this together, so that was awesome for me as well.
and you know the thing about it is that the some of the individuals that bridge that gap. He mentioned about Anita Guzik, who is currently running for the Director of Retired Members, which is the position that he held at headquarters. And she's out of branch 24. And he was saying that he was remember and were good friends, with Charlie Miller, which used to be the president of branch 1100. But moreover, he talked about Larry Brown, who is the president of branch 24 and currently the national chairman of the trustees, and that he was a good friend of his, and how much respect he had for Larry. And Larry and I have known each other now close to 30 years, Larry Brown, that is. And I'm just grateful as well for his guidance over the years that he's provided. And so it makes sense that Mr. Worsham wanted to make sure that we all were aligned. So again, shout out to him and shout out to Larry Brown.
Yeah, yeah.
Those
Let's
two are
talk about.
trailblazers in the NLC.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, those names, whenever you talk about NALC, the old school, like you was talking about, those names will always come up, those that have paved the way. And that's what's so upsetting now with this current leadership is that, first off, you got the president who hadn't been one of us for any period of time, and then he's over such a great union, and he has no idea about history and whatever. But these are the individuals that paved the way for the day, and that's the reason we're going to take over is because of the direction that it has taken under this current leadership. We need to get it back to how it used to be. And
Right,
so, and you're the only one that can do that. You're running against clowns, and so it's going to be great for the city letter carrier to get that back in charge. That the person that understands what this union used to be and what it can be, and not just a fucking clown show uh, like it's looking like. Put the shit, all these fucking side clown show shit, man. God, but I'm gonna talk about that on my podcast. I'm not gonna get out of that with you, but
but I
anyway,
think that's a distinction that we share, though, brother, is that we are serious candidates. We really are. And therefore, it makes us passionate and sometimes emotional about the the love we have for the letter carriers and our union. And when things are uh, devoid of just outright ethics and decency that we've come to uh, be accustomed to over the years, it bothers us. But here's the thing: if that, as I say, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And we've chosen to be part of the solution. And like I said, it doesn't matter what anybody calls us. It's what you answer to that defines what you are. And guess what? We're answering the call. And like I said, I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody says. I know in my heart's a heart, you know within your heart's a heart, and anybody that's been around us any period of time as we have been on this journey know that we're for real. And that's what I want the letter carriers and everyone that's listening to us very much so tonight that when I say we got your back like vertebrae, we got your back like vertebrae. So
Yeah.
absolutely. Go ahead, my
Yeah.
man.
Well, we got some additions.
Absolutely.
And I was excited beyond words, about my brother, Mr. Rios, who was just appointed as MBA of Region 1. And, for him to come out like he did, and dude's a straight stud. I mean, anybody that knows him knows that. But I like all those people in that business agent's office, though. I think all of them have done a fantastic job,
So
being as
do
they've not had a business agent for how long has it been? A year?
I.
So,
Yes, it's been just about a year that they've been
yeah,
without a business agent,
yeah,
and you have well, Region 4 get one sooner than right now and faster than immediately. You know,
yeah. How that happened? That's what I think about.
yeah, and,
Like,
and let me say, and I have to give him a call and congratulate him. John Robles helped me with the advanced formulae and beyond class. He was one of the facilitators. He and I was RAAs together, so I have nothing but mad respect for John. And I want to say, formally on here, congratulations on your appointment. So I'm not clowning Region 4 or him whatsoever. But what I am saying is that you have the same process here, where it takes almost a year for Region 1 to get a business agent. And in a matter of a week, just about from at least the announcement that I could see from the now former NBA Region 4 being, retiring and this appointment, I just don't see or understand why that could not have occurred with
yeah,
Region 1. But moreover, I have to give mad props and love to my homeboy Alan Rios. And
yeah,
here's the thing about Alan, like you said, he's a stud. My brother, he comes out and he works hard. His work ethic is second to none. He's been in that business agent office in excess of 10 years. So, and he's made it his business to know all the jobs in there. So you could not have picked a better person. And any one of them in that office could have done the job,
yeah,
but you could not have gotten better than Alice. And here's the backdrop on that. Alan and I carry mail together in Pomona. So, I'm exceedingly glad, and particularly since once I became a full-time officer for Branch 1100, you know, he was one of the ones I recruited. He was one of the ones that became a shop steward under my tutelage and worked in the business agent office under Chris Jackson, as then they call local business agents, which are now NAAs, and Charlie Miller being the president of the branch at the time, and to see someone that you played a role in excel and succeed is exceedingly gratifying. So I want to give a huge shout out to um, to Alan Rios on his appointment as National Business Agent. Well deserved.
yeah. And going back to John on Region 4, and everybody knows I didn't like Versluis. I thought he was a lackey. I thought that he's a Renfro homer, just like Vaffiades is. But so many people reached out about Versluis, they couldn't stand him. It was the exact opposite when John was named. So many people reached out to me and said, "Hey, this dude right here is a star. He's a home run, and that's who they were hoping would get it." And so, yeah, I mean, that's encouraging for that region because to me, I don't like Versluis. He went against the Constitution. Uh, he had a little clip on one of my episodes where he was trying to convince his people that, why they were going against the Constitution was good and okay. And I just didn't like that. I think you got the Constitution, you got to stick by it, whether you like it or not, you got to go by it. But The exact opposite for John. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and said, "Hey, this dude right here is a great hire." So yeah, and that's good news for them.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. Like I said, congratulations to him. But like I said, these additions to the CLC slate, when you're talking about um, uh, now, we have, like I said, Anita Guzik, who's running for director retired members. We have additions for the positions of the AFL-CIO delegates. We have my man, Philip Rodriguez out of Salt Lake City, Branch 111, who is in and of itself a fantastic, fantastic union activist and leader in this union and knows his business when it comes
Yes,
to legislative. I mean, they can, again, people try and clown about a lot of stuff and really have no idea. Not only are these additions, we have others that's going to be coming on as well that
yeah,
folks are unaware of as of right now. But like I said, Al in the NBA of Region 1, huge supporter of the CLC, like I said, we have Philip Rodriguez and we have Kathy Jones uh, out of Branch 9, and we have Homer Hernandez, the president of San Antonio, Texas, who is also a stalwart when it comes to legislation.
yeah. I was going to say that when you talk about Rodriguez and Hernandez, uh, those two individuals thrive on legislative issues and in promoting those things, getting those things out there. If you ever sit down and listen to Rodriguez talk about political stuff, you're like, man, that's boring. It is not.
No.
That dude right there has his shit together more than anybody. He reminds me of David Groskopf,
Yes,
legislatively. And so those two individuals, when we take over, well, three, Homer and Phil and David are going to be those that are going to spend a lot of time up there with me because they know their business as much as anybody you will ever meet.
correct. I agree. And as the Bible says, the tree by the fruit it bear.
Yeah,
And those brothers have, in particularly, bear some real significant fruit when it comes to legislative, and it shows in their branch and in their regions the things that they have been able to get accomplished in terms. I mean, you take particularly both of them come from a red state, quote unquote. And I'm not getting into the politics about it, but what I'm getting
yeah,
into is that uh, a lot of the legislation that uh, has been put in the forefront for letter carriers have been uh, for the most part, difficult to get passed in red states, but it has not been a deterrent to them. They've been able to go out and accomplish a lot and have a can-do attitude. So them being in addition to the CLC slate is significant, substantial, and very, very, very much so a privilege and honor to be able to have them serve along with us.
yeah. Rodriguez, you talking about red state, and I've always said, we take dues from everybody. Everybody's welcome in this union. And,
Yes.
I don't like when one side gets targeted against the other. I can't stand that shit. We're all in this together. And
Yeah.
so everybody's money is green. There's nothing, and if we're going to succeed at what we're going to have to do, and we need to do, we're going to
Right.
need everybody. And so Rodriguez being out in Utah, you talk about Red State, listening to him talk about how he courted those individuals and worked with them and got stuff done. That's
That's
what we need. We need those that can go across the aisle, both aisles, and say, hey, look, I get it, the history here, but this is what we need. one of the things when he was talking about mail-in voting, he had a lot of Native Americans that would have to drive 200 miles to a voting booth
Right.
because they're trying to do away with mail-in voting. He said, "Hey, look, we deliver the mail. Let's get them their ballots. We
Correct.
can get their ballots. We can bring them in so those they don't have to drive 200 miles to vote to a voting booth because the only voting booth they had was 200 miles away." And so, people mail-in voting, you don't like it, you do like it. There's a necessity for that. And we need to
Yeah.
educate the public on that. We need to educate the lawmakers on that, that there are people that if they don't have it, they're going to have to drive 200 miles to cast a vote. And
Correct.
that's crazy. And so when he worked with Chavez on that, all the things he was talking about, very impressive. That dude is very impressive.
Right. No, I agree with you 100%. And there are just so many reasons to applaud his joining our slate. I mean, it's just we're very blessed, the CLC, to have not only these new additions, but everyone that's on our slate. So, and as we indicated, uh, stay tuned because we
Yeah.
have others that's going to
Yeah.
come and continue to elevate our team and continue to be a link in this chain of reform for this union.
Well, brother, we're going to win. It's a foregone conclusion. I know you hate when I say that, but
Well, we don't take
but
anything for granted, but we do
yeah,
have faith because the one
yeah,
thing that I do know is that, you know, we're putting forth the effort.
yeah,
Meaning the CLC as a whole, we're putting forth the effort to get our message out and through repetition, demonstrating to the field that we are for real and that we're here for you and that we hear everything that you're saying. And like it's stated multiple times before, is that we're not going to promise that we can get everything. So we're not making promises that we cannot keep. The only thing that we're promising you is that we're going to fight, that we're going to make a real hearty effort to obtain what is due us. And I tell you, brother, the bill is overdue far as I'm concerned. And so we are going to put our heads down and go to work from day one. And that is being demonstrated in this campaign. I've stated before, even though you and I have leave without pay situations, spending tens of thousands of dollars in this campaign. And just so everybody know, we're not spending one dime from the CLC or one dime of money that was donated to the CLC. We're doing all of this on our own time and dime. And why? Because we care, not
yeah,
because we're trying to elicit or invoke any kind of sympathy from you. What we are doing is saying, as I often say, is that the hallmark of anybody that truly cares is their willingness and capacity to sacrifice. And we're willing to sacrifice on behalf of the letter carriers because it is a necessary component at this particular point in time. And I would do this time and time again if it really is going to make a difference. Because you love the letter carriers, I love the letter carriers. You love the NLC, I love the NLC, and everyone on our slate does.
yeah,
So I want to make sure that everyone out there under the sound of my voice understands that.
yeah. Well, brother, I'm gonna let you get some sleep. It's late over there on your side of town,
Yes, sir.
and so I will see you though. I'll see you Wednesday in Rochester.
Yes, I'll go to work and early, and then I'll get the late things smoking out of here and get a nonstop flight there. It's only about an hour and a half or so, so I can make it. And we'll definitely converge down there and up there, I should say, for me, in Rochester, New York, and meet those brothers and sisters there that are going to be coming out. So it'll be myself, you. I do know that Brother Dave Grosscroft says he's going to come. as
Good.
well. So we're looking forward to seeing him out there. And for those of you that really believe in us, if you have not already, please go on concernlettercarriers.com and endorse and like us so we can be able to communicate with you and put all your information in. Also, like and follow us on all of our social medias. We're talking about Facebook, we're talking about Instagram, Twitter/X, TikTok, YouTube. We are doing it all. And moreover, humbly, I ask that sow a seed in us, make a donation. We would like to do so. That money, it will be earmarked, and all the monies that we've been raising so far is so we can do a nationwide mailing and reach out to each and every one from the brand new CCA to our retirees. So please join the movement or help our movement out, and we will be there. One of the things is that we say when Corey and I go around, it doesn't matter if it's two or 2,000. We care and love you just the same. We'll be there because this is about us. This is about we, the collective effort, because I can't do anything on my own, nor can Corey. You're the union, and we are the union collectively. And so help us out. And I look forward to the next time, Corey, that we can chop it up. In fact, I really enjoy this, man. Been
Yeah.
able to chop it up. You would think that you got tired of it because we spend a lot of time with one another, but it's
Yeah.
always good.
Oh yeah, yeah. But everybody loves to hear you, man. They love hearing your point of views and things that are going on with us and future things that are going on. So yeah, man, we'll do this again soon. Sound good?
Yeah, tell these people, man, go on. There's a nice video of you, I, and Kamitra Lewis on our social media right now. Go online and check us out,
Yeah,
folks.
Concerned Letter Carriers Facebook page.
All right, definitely. Peace out. Love
All
you
right,
guys.
baby. All right, love you, James. See you, bud. Bye.